Okay, looking at the article then by the examining team, pretty much by the examiner. So, all about high quality audits, okay, really important. So, how on earth do you get a high quality audit? Well, first of all, what you need to do, obviously, is reduce your audit risk, because if you reduce your audit risk, well, therefore, what happens, you are less likely to give the wrong opinion. And that's why it's so important, okay? So high quality audits should reduce audit risk, okay? So we perform good quality, high quality work here. Now, as long as we perform high quality work, then we are less likely to give the wrong audit opinion, and therefore it's good for the firm. And it's good for the client because they're getting a high quality audit, okay? So therefore, if that's the case, the big question is then, why do we perform low quality work? And that's what this article is all about. Why do we perform low quality work, okay? Now, before I go on to that, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap there, before I go on to it, just want to put some where we are at the moment, really. Okay, so recent developments. What's been happening recently? Why are we getting articles on this? Well, it's because what the IASB have done, they've issued a document called a framework for audit quality. A framework for audit quality. So they're pushing it. They've also got a web page, and the web page is called the Focus on Audit Quality. Okay, and basically the whole idea is, like we've just said, that the whole idea of what they're doing is they're trying to engage an auditor, but not just the auditor, also the users, the clients, the preparers. So the clients, the investors, everybody. Try and engage all those on the issue of a good audit, what a good audit means, and therefore that should reduce the expectations gap. Okay. Now, where we are at the moment, there are a couple of standards on this, but the one I want to have a quick look at, the ISA 220. Okay, I'm not going to go into any great detail, but what it says is that you need to be aware, this is for the audit firm, you need to be aware of leadership. And when we talk about leadership, we talk about need to be aware who is responsible for quality in your firm. You need to be aware of ethics, particularly independence here, really. Be aware of your independence. How can you give a good quality audit if you're not independent? Think about which engagements you accept. Think about the competence. Are you competent to do it in particular? Think about assigning your team. Again, it's linked to competence, isn't it? So make sure that your team is good enough for the work that they're being given. Think about the performance of the audit as it's going along, which is the direction, the supervision, the review. So making sure that everybody is always being checked and being helped. And the whole thing as well, linked to this is the engagement quality control review as well, particularly for high risk audits. Okay, and then finally it says make sure that you monitor and that you document all your work with regards to quality. Does go into more detail than that, but I think that's enough really. Okay, I'm going to come back to that in a little while, but I want to just come back to this then. Why would, bearing in mind all that then, why would we not perform good quality work? So why would we perform low quality work, and how? Kind of what's the implications of that? So, and that's what you've got to do in the exam. Don't just say why, say the implication of it as well. All right. So it could be that the client has tight deadlines and they're pushing you to meet them. It could be that you have fee restrictions. You can't, you don't feel like you can charge very much, so therefore you might cut your work. Okay. On those two then, how do we go about reducing quality? Well, what tends to happen is that you increase materiality, especially in groups, because you can kind of get away with it. You increase materiality beyond what it really should be, or you cut your sample sizes down in order to meet the deadlines, in order to make it a quicker audit and therefore a less high quality audit. Okay, and another one that you might not have thought of is that you might offshore work. Okay, and what offshore work means, give your work, literally outsource it to somebody, probably somebody abroad, probably somebody where the labour cost is cheaper, but the issue is, do they have the knowledge of the client in order to do the work correctly? So all those things will reduce the quality. Why else? Well, we might have some ethical dilemmas. Okay, so an ethical dilemma could be a non-audit service. You're being asked to do a non-audit service, but you're already the auditor. And again, hopefully you're aware now you've got this self-review, self-interest threat. And I just want you to be aware of this in the exam, especially if the client becomes or has just become listed. Because if you're listed, you can't provide the accountancy work, for example. Okay, so be really aware of that. Another one where your quality might fall down is in the areas where judgment is needed. Okay, because here we are finding a lack of PS, professional skepticism, particularly with the audit of fair values, particularly with trying to look at the feasibility of the management plans. We are just accepting what they say. Also, when we come to look at the impairments of assets, trying to work out the value in use, etc., and the fair values, a lack of professional skepticism, a lack of work being done there. Finally, another way that we can reduce our audit quality is have people who aren't competent working on areas where they shouldn't really be working. Okay, so look for juniors doing work that really seniors or audit partners should be doing. But what I want to highlight here is even the engagement quality control reviews. Make sure they're done by somebody who's high enough to do it, who's competent enough to do it. We're finding that they're not, and this is really important, particularly as these are probably high-risk audits. And if the person doing the review for quality isn't qualified, then the audit risk is again huge. Okay, so I told you about where we are and where we're going. I just want then you to think about, well, what's the exam focus of all this? And it really is a great, really well-examined topic, this. So think to yourself, the question will be something like, has the audit been properly planned or appropriately planned? And what we're looking at here is, what I want you to do is not only think of the obvious things, but give everything a quality control focus, particularly in this exam. Think to yourself, when I'm tendering for a job, or when I'm providing an audit service, a non-audit service I mean, think about the quality control issues that we get there when we're looking at planning the business. And of course, in the exam, you're looking for all of these things cropping up. You're looking for, is there mention of tight deadlines? Is there mention of fee restrictions? Do we provide these non-audit services? Are there areas that there's lots of judgment? Are there areas where it seems that juniors are doing work that they shouldn't be, or the engagement quality control reviewer is not as high as they should be? Get all those right, and you're going to be well positioned to do a really good answer in the exam.